Everybody in the system appears to be in on it. When 31 judges recuse themselves from a case, you have a serious, serious problem.
And other than that, we're going to, the meeting is this afternoon that Judge Burton is calling. And I think now that more judges are being called out and named, I'm sure it has gotten their attention. But this threatens to take down the entire system. The judges are in on it.
They were caught on video after this lawsuit was filed. So there was a lawsuit filed alleging that this cabal of guardians was colluding with judges and with therapists, psychologists to diagnose one parent with false psychological disorders, charge them huge amounts of money, and take their children from them, hide child abuse allegations, and give the child to the wealthier parent, who is also happens to be the parent that the child is accusing of molestation. In the cases I've revealed, Nick, these same guardians, Elaine Pudlowski, with her psychotherapist friend James Reed, who is also married to a former judge, they are working together. And every one of these parents I've spoken to who have had experience with these two and others in the system are reporting that they did the same thing, worked with a doctor to have one parent declared unfit and hid child abuse allegations in order to give the child back to the other parent.
Let me tell you the story that first got my attention, and it was a story surrounding audio that got leaked of I believe it was a 14-year-old girl. And the judge was, I wanted to say sentencing her, but telling her, no, you have to go live with your father. And she's pleading. Somebody leaked audio of this, pleading with the judge, saying, he molests me. He is my molester. Do not do this. And the judge threatened to send her mom to jail if she did not.
She didn't just threaten.
She did.
She didn't just threaten. She sent her mom to jail.
I don't understand. No, you don't understand. You understand you can't work with a child molester. There are factors that it wasn't considered. First, the child's position is another factor for considered. Court considers about 10 factors. And the court, and the law is very clear. The child's position is one of many factors, and it's not the controlling factor. It's never been a controlling factor. Because children are still children. They're still children. Still a child, you're not 18, you don't get to make these decisions. 4 years, you're going to be making these decisions for yourself. You're going to be pulling the shot. And until you hit that age, the court is controlling and custody between the parties.
Children are still children. I agree. It's really ironic that somebody who says children are still children is trying to rob this child of her childhood, forcing her, ordering her, with the power and authority of the court and the state, to go live with somebody who she just verified in an open court molest her. If that's not criminal, if you don't think that's criminal, because the state hasn't written a statute about it, there's something wrong. There's something wrong.
I understand you're not happy. That's your choice. I don't want to have to put anyone in jail today for any harm. And she can do what she wants to do. The result of her conduct in violation of the court order, however, is that she has to have the consequences. She has free will, but her free will could end up her up in jail. And when Ms. Reiner is taken to jail, you are not going to have a parent to go home with other than that.
Okay, what's going on here is because the girl doesn't want to go get molested, she's going to arrest her mom. So that the choice will be really easy because the girl won't have anywhere else to go. And because the girl is still so defiant, she gets locked up in a mental institution. And look at what the judge just said. She said, yeah, your mom has free will. Your mom has free will. But if she disobeys this court order, her free will's going to end her up in jail. Well, that's not really free will at all. That's extortion and coercion. And when you're doing it legally like that, it's called slavery. It's called slavery. When you have to work, when you have to do things that other people order you to do, and they're not compensating you in any kind of way, that's called slavery. That's what it's called. And I thought we abolished slavery here in the United States. Apparently you didn't get the memo.
And that's not what the court wants to do. Trust me. The court does not want Ms. Reiner in jail. The court wants you with Dad. Ms. Reiner back in her house. You ready to go, Dad? Alright. You do the right. You let downstairs know that we're going to turn back up.
She threatened her and then did it. And then she took the child, and that's Judge Nicole Zellweger in the Circuit Court in St. Louis. She sent the child to a mental ward at the Children's Hospital in St. Louis, where she is right now. She has no access to a lawyer other than the guardian ad litem, whose name is Venus Jackson, who is working on behalf of her father to return her to the father she charges with molestation. Now, let me just say, her mother has no criminal record until the judge threw her in jail. The father does have a criminal record for domestic abuse. He also took her to a level 3 sex offender's house, his father, and kept her there for a week. And that's all in the court documents. The judge knew this. And she still, despite this child pleading with her, still is ordering her to go back to her father several states away from her mother in Missouri. She's going to be sent to Montana to live with this man. It is on court record that his stepdaughter already moved out of his house because of that domestic dispute that ended up with his arrest and charging, and he's on probation. So already another young woman under his care has run away from him. And we are supposed to believe that this man is a safe place for this girl who is saying, I don't want this.
This is insane. This is absolutely insane. Not just the fact that it's happening here in America, but what's really insane to me is that the people are allowing it to happen. Why? Why?
The entire St. Louis Judiciary Circuit Court has recused themselves from this case. The Chief Justice himself, his name is Douglas Burton, he was caught sending an email violating his judge's code of conduct by commenting on a case that was going to be in front of his court. Not just commenting, but offering to help the defendants in the case. That is obstruction of justice. He should be in handcuffs. Not only do I have him on email, but there's leaked video of 38 guardians talking about, at least 2 of them talking about how they spoke to Judge Burton, ex parte communication, called him up.
I think that we should, whoever's at the meeting should bring that up to the judge that, this issue is there. But I do know that he's aware of it because he's reached out to bar associations.
I will ask today, but I think that, like Venus said, he's incorporating, but that's something that they need to get a hold of.
Right. Yeah, I just don't know how much they know about it and how much it's filtered down to the other judges. And I can't be at the meeting this afternoon, so I just want to make sure that gets addressed.
Okay.
Is someone attending that meeting this afternoon?
Yeah, I am.
So, let me just talk about this for a minute, because you heard the reporter say, hey, they're having ex parte communications with the judge. They're talking with the judge. Then you just heard the attorneys talking in a meeting with each other. And they're talking about having a meeting with the judge. And there's a representative from the attorneys who's going to go meet with the judge or judges. And there's another attorney who's like, well, I was invited, but I couldn't make it. I'm too busy. And they're also talking about being in touch with the Bar Association. So when things like this happen, they call their buddies down at the Bar Association because they're going to be sitting on the disciplinary committees that are going to be hearing this. And why don't you tell me how come jury tampering is a huge crime, punishable by years in prison? But they can call the jury, they can call the judges, they can call the people in the Bar Association and say, hey, let's figure out how to handle this together. Unless there's a huge problem. And one of the big problems that I have is that we don't know law anymore. The public doesn't know law. Because if you did, then you would know none of those judges had to recuse themselves. And why? Why? Because judges don't have power to judge us. That's what juries are for. Judges are just there to witness the jury's judgment, to witness it on behalf of the power and authority of the state. But this has gotten turned so backwards. And it's gotten turned so backwards because too many people worship these statues the state creates, that the state calls law, or statutes. That's what's really going on. And it's going to go on until you do something about it. Until you do something about it.
Go after him, probably with lawfare. They're a bunch of lawyers. What else would they do? Why would they spend up to $10,000, they said, to find out the identity of the person reporting on the bad things they do? And, get this, Nick, they don't deny that the things in the newsletter are untrue. They, in fact, admit on tape, in the leaked Zoom video, they admit on tape that the things he's reporting are privileged and confidential information, which means that it's true. And also that they're going after a whistleblower, because if a whistleblower leaks information that implicates people in a crime, that's not protected information. That's protected under the whistleblower law, and as lawyers, they ought to know that.
Let me explain something here. When you're committing fraud, there is no privileged information. And all you have to do is go look at Michael Cohen and Donald Trump, because when the FBI went and seized all of Michael Cohen's files and everything about Donald Trump, Donald Trump was saying that's all privileged information. Michael Cohen was saying that's privileged information. The news was saying that's privileged information. But what came out was there was a little bit of civil fraud in there. And just because there was a little bit of civil fraud, none of the information was privileged anymore. And she's right. As lawyers, they should know that. And they do. They do.
Sarah, do you think there's something that you could raise with Burton, too? If somebody's got a case number and it's a paternity case, it still shouldn't be coming up. So maybe there's really a problem within the security settings within the system, too.
Yeah, I'll raise that. Then that brings us to the next one. Elaine has an expert. She has identified an expert. I don't know who this person is. I don't want to know. But they think that they might be able to uncover this. And this is where it gets costly. They, according to Elaine, there are either 3 or 4 tiers of the work that they do. And they've done the first tier and it's come up with nothing. So then you go to the second tier. They feel that they may be able to uncover this. These people cost $425 an hour. And Elaine has been dragging her feet saying, no, nobody needs to contribute. No, I will do it. But I have gotten her to say that she will accept, because Dave said, if Elaine thinks that that's not appropriate, maybe we get an expert on our own to try and do it, but it seems to be more efficient. So for those of us who would want to contribute to that, we need to not send a check to Elaine, according to her lawyers. We need to send it to one lawyer, and then they will send it to her law firm. Any discussion about that?
Well, can I ask, is the expert a computer forensics expert trying to track down, who's doing this and where this is coming from? I mean, that's what I was going to suggest that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a great idea. I think that's our best chance. If we can really all pull together to do something, it's to try to financially support this and give them enough money that they may really be able to uncover it, because I don't know how we're going to figure it out otherwise. I mean, there are other things that may come in, but this seems to be the best shot at really trying to get somewhere.
Well, I think it makes sense to do it within Elaine's case, because then it kills two birds with one stone, hopefully, which is, Elaine can use it in her case, and then we know who it is. Mm-hmm. So,
if you want to know why we are losing so badly to people on the other side, to people within the legal society, this right here is the answer. Because somebody's doing the right thing and going after one of them for fraud. And instead of everybody just disassociating with that individual who's performing criminal activity, most likely, allegedly, they all get together and stand together, stand behind one another. They all pull their resources together and unite as one. And until we do that, they're going to keep picking us off one by one. And I understand that we're not all attorneys and we don't have an immense amount of finances, and we can't go charge our clients $450 an hour to screw them over and sell them to the system. So not everybody can pitch in like what they're talking about. But we can unite, and we can tell the courthouse what the law is and to do the right thing and to perform the law and their function in society, or we can abolish them. Because if they're not performing their function in society, why do we care to allow them to exist? If they're perpetrating the same criminal activity that they say they're trying to protect us from, why do we need them? We don't. But we got to stand with each other. We got to quit being afraid. This is why I've been making the videos. Everybody should write down to the courthouse, file judicial complaints. Hey, I heard this. I witnessed this. I heard an audio of that. And I believe that we should add Nicole Zellweger onto this list. And we should get in touch with this courthouse and ask them what they're doing. That's what we should do. We should stand behind these people who are standing up before they come and knock us down. Before the other side comes and knocks us down. Because that's the only chance we got. And if we're not willing to stand with each other over our children, then there's never going to be an issue that we're going to stand with each other over. Don't get it twisted. This isn't a Republican thing. This isn't a Democratic thing. It was the Republicans and the Democrats that set up this system. And this system's nationwide. It's just getting exposed in St. Louis, Missouri. The same way that the system's set up in Missouri is the same way it's set up all across the nation. And the way it's set up for them to commit fraud. That's why everything is privileged and confidential in family court. They say it's to protect the family. No, it's not. And if the family wishes to keep their business private, they shouldn't take it to court. We'd have a much better society that way. But if it goes to court and you think the government should get involved, you best believe the public should be involved.
Well, she has nothing left to lose.
Yeah.
Her children are lost to her.
No.
One of them is suicidal, and the other one, is so angry with her because what happens is eventually when you can't protect your children through the system, when they're being abused, they start to blame you because they think that the protective parent should be able to do something about it. And when you can't, because the system stops you, it alienates your children from you. This story I have seen over and over and over again. And this case in St. Louis is the best chance we've ever had to blow the lid off of it because so many witnesses are coming forward. So many people are saying, I've had enough, I'm not scared anymore, and I don't care what, I have nothing left to lose. I've lost my job, I've lost my house, I've lost everything. And let me say something else. On that leaked video, the Guardians ad litem are laughing about getting rich. They're saying that we're not getting any money. Where's the money coming from? Well, let me tell you how easy it is to discover how wealthy these people are. Public records show that Elaine Kudlowski is living in a house that costs valued over $700,000. Does that sound like a small amount of money to you? She made $30,000 on one case. She has the highest caseload in all of St. Louis County, maybe the state. 86 cases in December is a whole lot of cash. And the idea that a woman like that, who lives such a privileged life, is driving a Lexus, according to public records, can say that she has not made money off of this scheme is an absolute absurd lie. James Reed, with his ex-judge husband, is living in a $900,000 house in St. Louis. So these people truly believe that they are not making a lot of money. Do they know what their average client is making? The money they took from the clients, by the way, was their college savings for their children, was all they had. So many of these clients contacted me and said, I am now out of a job, I lost my car, I lost my house. I had to sell everything to pay Elaine Kudlowski her $30,000 fee. And she has the nerve to say she's not making money. These people are out of touch, they are elite, they are privileged economically and in every other way. And it makes me angry to hear them say that they don't make any money off of this scheme.
Taken Elaine to task, though, in this Cash for Kids scheme that I was originally named in, I haven't received a penny. I don't know where that money is. It's COVID.
On top of that, you're running a Ponzi scheme, Elaine? How dare you?
Right. We should all be really wealthy by now.
Yeah. I mean, when you're selling kids,
Right.
there's got to be some money attached to that.
Yep.
And that's an idea. We could adopt the identity. We could call ourselves Cash for Kids.
Oh, yeah, LLC. Mile Financials. It is growing. I mean, I've got a case now with Laura where the mom's really mad at me all the time. But one of the things among the many threats that she's done is that I know 4 or 5 other families, and we're getting together and we're hiring a lawyer. I don't know that she is. A lot of what she says isn't the truth, but there's a part that she certainly knows about this stuff.
Now, why would an attorney be worried about getting sued by their client if everything they're doing is above board? And how sick and soulless do you have to be to joke and laugh about selling kids for cash? And you're really going to tell me that they don't get cash for what they do? Really? And I can understand how they might not view themselves as wealthy because it's America. And somebody's always richer than the next individual. It's just the way America is. But America's changed. Let me go back to what the reporter was talking about. About how parents have lost everything. They don't have anything else to lose anymore. That's why they're coming out and being public about it. Let me tell you something about that. If the public really makes a push to get law upheld in the courthouse, and they don't uphold it, somebody who doesn't have anything to lose. Historically, that's when the guns come out and people get shot or they chop their heads off. I talk about the common law all the time. And you want to know why the common law exists? The common law exists because of people like William Wallace, where when the British government was trying to impose a civil law form, they said, no, we're not accepting your law. And they would cut off government officials' heads and they would put it on a stake out in front of the town. You do that enough times And those people are going to say, okay, we'll listen to you. We'll listen to your law. Your law is good law for us because we don't want to die. That's exactly what happened to King John, Magna Carta. You're the one who allows law to exist. And you're the one who's supposed to watch over the government. And if we had a real government, like the way it was supposed to be, where grand juries would be in and out of those courtrooms and in and out of those court files and watching over these people and making sure that if there's any type of fraudulent activity or anything scandalous going on, they'd make a presentment to the other members of the grand jury and bring indictments against government officials, how much better do you think the government would act? If we had real law and the government had to issue a bond with every warrant, how many warrants do you think they would issue? Maybe prison wouldn't be such a big business. Maybe we wouldn't go after people for things like drugs and let pedophiles go. And if we allow the system to keep going the way that it's going, I can tell you what's going to happen. They're going to call their people at the Bar Association. They're going to put on a public show and charade. And just like Greg Newman up in Hendersonville, who let pedophiles go and child rapists go, they're going to say, oh, well, you're suspended with the suspended suspension. So you're not really suspended. But it's okay because we gave the public a good show, and hopefully they believe that we're administering some justice, because that's what it's all about. They just wish for you to believe they're doing their job, because they're not. And they're not gonna do their job unless you force them to do their job. The reason all of those judges recused themselves is because they all have firsthand knowledge of the facts. They all know what's going on. And it's like that in every single city, county, all across America. Some places are a lot worse than others. Some people are not as evil as others. Some jurisdictions are better and actually kind of uphold the law still because they have a conscience. I'm going to say this one thing about a court order, and then I'm going to peace out. But let me explain to you what a court order is. I'm going to use an analogy. You can call me Mr. Court for this analogy. So Mr. Court invites you and a guardian ad litem, one of his friends, and a psychologist, another one of his friends, and a legal expert, another one of his friends, all out to a really nice steak dinner. We're going to Steakhouse 47. That's a bomb steak restaurant around here. It's one of those restaurants where they don't put the menu on the price. And I'm going to order you a steak, me a steak. I'm going to order the guardian ad litem a steak, the psychologist a steak, the legal expert a steak. I'm going to put $400 worth of sides on all of those plates. And then when the bill comes, I'm going to tell you to pay it. It's a court order. I'm Mr. Court. I ordered all of this food. Now you got to pay it. Would you pay it? Because it's not a court judgment. These aren't courts of law. They don't issue judgments. They don't have juries. Here in America, we don't trust government. Of course you wouldn't pay that court order. You didn't order the food. And it's incredibly rude for me to go order a bunch of stuff and then ask you to pay it. That's what's going on with court orders. That's the reality of it. And everybody goes along because, it's a court order. The court decided. The court can't decide anything. Nicole decided. Nicole chose to send that child with a child rapist. The court doesn't have a mind. It doesn't have imagination. It doesn't have thoughts. Never went to school. can't breathe, can't conspire. Only the people within it can conspire together. That's the reality. Wake up. And if you wake up and you don't do anything, you deserve what's going to happen to you. I am just conspiracy. I just wish to conspire to keep our children safe. If you can't get on board with that, you're heartless. Peace.